Well, this is the stream, live at 9 as it was intended to be, I hope. I'm not really sure whether it's going to be good or bad news. I didn't do a lot of streaming. Well, I didn't do any streaming through the day. It would have been pretty boring. It's been a long, hard day. I've done quite a lot today, really. A very frustrating tracing and debugging. So maybe we start with the news and where we are at the moment. What else we got to tell you? I don't know. This is going to be quite a long one because it has been quite a long day and I am quite bleary now. So we got as you can see, we are at a position where, in theory, if I show you this, don't be surprised. Browser, let's go to the big screen. In the browser, I've got a T3 test program, which has got a clear 409. Now, we notice we're in NextZXOS now. So we got the color code in the latest release. So I'm doing a clear 4099. That's still a requirement before it. I'm loading in the debugger just in case. And yes, you recognize the other stuff. And here's an MCAT3 in the basic. So if I do a run, you can hear the drive running. And ta-da! You may be interested to note the catalogue. The name of the cartridge is 0123456789, and there's this file on there called 0123456789, and it's got 79 sectors left. And we are nonsense in basic, but I go back and I'm back in NextZXOS. And in theory, I can go back and forth, exit in and out, etc. Go back to the next basic and the command line. The NMI works. I can exit out of the NMI. So I don't think I've broken NextZXOS. And if I go down here, in fact, if I can just do it from the command line, if I do an MCAT, if I do a .mcat1, then it catalogues drive number 1 as well. So it isn't doing too bad. The reason we had that funny naming and addressing when I did the MCAT3, let's just remind you of it, is quite, well, it's a pretty terrifying middle of the day that was. I have to say, I could have cried. The machine was doing all sorts of random things at the end of the code, and it was just, all of a sudden these black lines started coming up and down. Now, I don't know whether anyone's used a micro drive much, but black lines going up and down means it's formatting. So I managed to format my cartridge completely. I don't think there was anything on there I needed, but who knows. So it's gone anyway. So live formatting of a cartridge was missed, unfortunately, I've been streaming. So let's go over what I actually did. One of the things I'm preparing for is obviously to submit the item for the .jam itself, because no point in having done it otherwise. So I sort of, have we followed all the rules? Well, there was an unwritten one, which is I wasn't supposed to start before I did it, which I didn't. The announcement video last Sunday was just me getting my desk set up and finding the books and documents and things. Final dot file can be no larger than 8K. So no bootstrapping more code into memory. Well, that's true now. The bit that has to be in main memory is copied there. I've done that bit of work here. So if we go mcat.asm, I've tidied this up as well today. mainly just I've made a version 0.2 because 0.1 is out in the wild. I've added in a couple of bits getting ready for running in NextZXOS, which we don't do yet. You'll see that. We might have time to do that tonight. I've added some notes about things that need to be done. So we've still got the MCAP-I we had before that will just dump us into the ROM. That only works in NextZXOS, obviously, because the reset in ESXDOS, because that brings us back into NextZXOS with no catalog, with no microdrive facilities. So it's pretty only really useful in ESXDOS, and in fact is probably the way I'll do it, that I'll keep compatibility with ESXDOS and NextZXOS by only allowing that under ESXDOS, because it's basically just a quick way of getting to the routines. So what I did then is on the catalog, if you remember in the drive, I picked up the next letter after that's going to be coming. I put a note here to skip the white space. So if it's not a dash, then we go to the catalog command. And the catalog command, I've picked up the drive number because it was frustrating being able to test it with more than one drive number with it always set in 3. So I did, the next has gone into, it doesn't matter, you can't see it. So I then get A, which is going to be the drive number as a parameter, and I stick that in the drive store area. Now, this is the bit about copying up the data. So if you look here, there's a section of code. I haven't done it properly. I need to allocate a page here and put it in, but at the moment, as long as we've done a clear 49151 in BASIC at least, but I'm still clearing for put the monitor in. Sorry guys, I seem to have a bit of a dry cough. Oh, launching into talking, that is. So basically I load IX with MCAP main, which is the location of our MCAP main program, which I just add on to the end as a binary, which is what I said I was going to do. I've just spotted an error in my highlighting. It doesn't actually highlight it properly as a color because it's not one I've ever used in in Z80 ASM before, but it includes a binary file into it as is. I normally don't do that. It might be a way of doing some things in POR easier than I did. But anyway, so if we go back to where we were, what was I doing? Yeah, so basically I load that into it, and then I copy into IX+2, and we'll see why in a minute. So just after the code, I copy the drive into the code that's going up into high memory. Then I just sanity check the drive to make sure that there's it must be in the 1 to 8, and it gives an error if it's anything other than that. Then I print our cataloging message to say we're doing a catalog. Then I swap IX into DHL, load the destination of where we're going to dump it, work out how long it is, and LDIR it up because it's quite short, 600 bytes or so. Sorry, I've got a live couple of comments coming there. Okay, I silence the bleeps again, shall we? There we go. Sorry about that. So, where was I? So we call that. I've got some been breakpointing at various points because it was crashing all day. I've had real random stuff like I said, if you go back to the capture. We've got a file of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's because at some point in the past, it basically created a file. I don't know how long it is yet because you notice the catalog isn't a full extended catalog, and that's because I spent so much time today trying to find these couple of bugs that I've really struggled to find the time to put the extended catalog listing in. So I'm hoping I might be able to do that now over the next hour or so. This is right up against the wire for DotJam, and this is literally most of today, other than taking time out to eat. I got underway about probably 11 o'clock this morning after doing some chores, And apart from a couple of breaks for chats and sorting things out, I've been pretty much on this most of the day, messing about, mainly learning how it all works and tracing, working out that you can't trace the code as easily as you think with the code machine picturesque debugger, because the ROMs end up all over the place. But I was quite pleased when I managed to get it out of ESXDOS and into NextZXOS and doing something anyway. At the moment, I've had to make a compromise, because the issue I'm getting, which is that I still get random effects if I have some errors. So what I'm going to do is, if I show you what happens now, if I take out the cartridge and do an MCAT3, so there's no cartridge in there, microdrive not present, I've had to cause the machine to actually halt doing that. All I do here to make it halt after a cat is, after all if we end up into the red error, then I just stick it in an error loop at the moment on the red border. Now if I put a breakpoint in there and trace it through the ret, it comes back to basic. But if I don't, it does all sorts, and just allow it to do the ret, it does all sorts of random junk. So I really haven't worked out why. So for safety now, it's just halted, because the last time I let it run past this point without the breakpoint to the monitor, it actually went on and did a catalogue of drive 2. So it repeated the catalogue with another drive number. So probably as a result of this ending up with a value, having a value of 2 ending up as the drive number. Goodness knows how or why it happened, but yuck. So there's definitely something not right happening there. So you can easily, though, of course, I just press F4 and go back into NextZXOS. But that would seem the safer thing for me. So if you get an error, it will stop. So that's why I'm coming back to our have we followed the rules. Well, it mostly returns to the operating system unless it gets an error, in which case it halts. So all code should fail safe, I think. It's my view anyway. We said any amount of memory can be used at runtime, but no loading data are contained. Well, we do that. You're not required to release the source code. Well, I will be. And I'll be releasing the other stuff as well. I haven't had time to put it up in a public zone yet. Sorry. I'll probably have to do that after the .jam closes, because I've set up the repository on GitLab for it to go into some of the code. And I'll put this onto the main distribution, obviously, and .command in its working state as a release version, but that'll take a bit of time to organise. I have to credit everybody who's been watching the live stream, so I'm crediting all of you, and Hank with providing the code for the extended cat to help save typing it all in, and obviously all the people who've provided stuff, and Phil and so on. So it's really been a team effort. It's been really handy having the eyes on from the live stream viewers. What else we got? So copyright ownership retained. You can only load external files, so it doesn't apply to us at the moment, because we'd be able to do file things. But what we got to remember is MCAT main is actually a dispatcher for lots of functions. Once we get rid of this forcing a catalog, MCAT could dispatch this same code, or we could create little stubs for, well, I know it works now, format, so we could do an mformat command by just adding the format address into the code as another dispatch option. But we can definitely do an msave and an mload of at least code, maybe even basic programs as well. So I think there's definitely an opportunity to create the entire suite of MCAT, mload, msave, mformat very easily using this same code as a dispatcher. So it's the way it's written and structured is going to be a lot more usable moving forward. Anyway, so here's the bug I was trying to find about random efforts all day. I don't know when, but at some point I typed in that outCA as out128A. Goodness knows what out128A does, but it gave a black border and machine locked up. And sometimes it didn't, sometimes it went completely ballistic and did all sorts of random stuff. So all in all, it was getting a bit dangerous. It was completely manic. That was the really hard one to find. and I don't know how it happened or what happened, but what you'll notice is I moved the changing the disabling the SD and enabling the bus, and then re-enabling all the SD stuff and re-enabling the bus into the stuff that's up in high memory. Took it out of the mcat.asm bit and simplified this to literally just a command dispatcher. The only time I've left it in there is for the mcat-i. So, oh dear. Hiya D, nice to see you watching. So, okay. What else can I show you that does and doesn't work then? I mean, this is almost a working command. Is it workable? Yes. Is it completely and utterly working? No, because as you saw, you get a nonsense in BASIC in NextZED-Exos, not an actual returned error. So there's definitely something not quite right, but I don't know what. Yeah. I assume you're saying ouch to something you saw, Ped, maybe the formatting of the cartridges or something else. But we're getting there. We are getting there. But tracing the code, and like I said, the bit that's really driving me bonkers is if you stick the breakpoint in, it 100% reliably will allow you then to carry on after the code and return to BASIC. So, I don't know what's happening there. I really don't. So, something not quite right is happening somewhere. So anyway, what else did I do today? Like I say, I took all the old date code out of the mcat command, so it's clean and simple. Everything that related to the old date is gone. What I have done, though, is I've added in, thanks to David for putting me in a bit of code, and Matt letting me put it in, ready some page allocation code that works from within, is known to work from within a dot command. So this will allow us to allocate a upper level page in NextZED-Exos, copy our code up to that, and then deallocate on the way back out. I haven't done that yet. Again, not absolutely necessary. So, yeah, that was like bonkers, mate. Yeah, I really, I had the outbug just drove me completely and utterly nuts. Because, of course, your breakpoint stuff, it seems to work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And in the end, I found it by tracing the code. I had another problem as well, where I trying to think where I thought the fault was. I had the same colour used twice, and I thought I was going down one path, so I was sticking breakpoints all over the place and then tracing it. And, of course, we was never getting to the out because the page switch wasn't happening. As has been pointed out, you've got to literally run the code in the ROM. You can't trace through the ROM with the trace through the Shadow 1 ROM with the picturesque code machine. So I don't know why. Maybe there's something in the code that is, flicking the main ROM back in to stop you. But we'll have to investigate that at some time in the future. So there we go. So what else did I do? It included the bin, drive number. I've told you about that. The other one I did quickly is I added, and I realised wasn't being done anywhere, in the main code. In the init ROM bit of the code where I check the addresses for the ROMs, I added a create new system variables, because it isn't actually done by the page in and out code 32. I thought it was, but it's not. So I create the system vars, then I page the ROM, and then we do the ending up with what we're doing and finding the code. And I proved this all works nice. So this was actually in the init boot of PAW does it as part of it. There's some one-off routines that run. So I've done that as part of it. So like I said, trying it first in NextZED-Exos was just locks and going mad. I have done a little bit of belt and braces for the pushing the registers to disable interrupts while they're running, so we got a consistent set, an EI. It's basically running disabled for most of it, but this subroutine does actually enable it at suitable points, so it gets enabled as soon as it's feasible. So I'm wondering whether I ought to have a disable there while I do it, but it doesn't really matter, or we could probably take those out. I'm still not quite certain what's getting corrupted because they look alright looking at them. So Just a quick point that I've been doing my reset with the yellow NMI button, pressing the 4 key, only because I keep knocking the micro drive cartridge. If I just remind you of what I've got set up here. If you can see that red button for the reset, when you stick your finger in, you keep knocking this cable for the micro drive, and it's a little bit sensitive and comes away, and you can cause problems. So what I've been doing is basically using NMI plus 4 to do the reset, which is a lot quicker and easier. So this sort of remind people that functionality's on the Next. Don't know what the T3 stage is. Oh, yeah, halfway through the day then my Wi-Fi network failed. My router sort of sat there, crashed. Of course, I couldn't get any... because I was connecting, the Wi-Fi connection relies on having my Wi-Fi network in the house. That took a while to work out how to get it to work again. I don't know what I did in the end, but just took out and out, rebooted it several times. Unfortunately, when it came back up, my flash card is corrupted. If you when you see ESX-DOS boot, it comes up and the detect for the onboard drive has got some corruption in it. Now it's not seeing the right thing. So I think the root directory or something in the root of my flash card is now corrupt. Probably from where I accidentally was doing all sorts of random stuff. I probably ended up corrupting my SD card and of course that's built in to my as my second card in my machine, so I'll have to disassemble it to get the card out. Luckily enough, although I can't connect to the WebDAV on 192.168.0.1, I can connect to subdirectories under the WebDAV, so I can still get at the bin directory to dump stuff in. I'll fix that tomorrow. It'll just be a matter of pulling a flash card out, backing up what I haven't got off elsewhere, which won't be a lot, and then reformat the card hopefully and reset it. So, but certainly if you're fiddling with this sort of stuff, probably not a good idea to use my machine. I normally don't use this machine for dev. I've got a dev machine and I only use the one card in. I should have probably done that, but I wanted a nice Next to work on. Okay. So it's been an eventful day. Like I said, probably would have, been a pretty horrific day. What else do we do? Error now returns to ESX-DOS and XZDocs. The other thing I had to do, and that was the other one, is I had to learn how to be able to submit to it. I've never submitted a code on into there or set one up even. So I'll set up a project page in there and get that ready to go, because basically I won't be able to submit unless I got a project. So I have set up a place with some stuff on it, and then as you can see when you joined me, I was coming up with some notes about what I can put in there, with some credits and text, which I've been doing some stuff and getting it ready to go at some point. So that's where I am with it all. That's the news of what's happened today in 20 minutes. So I'm literally shattered now. I was starting to despair that I'd ever get into any kind of working order, and then I had to disappear for an hour and do some running around this evening, and it wasn't really working. But like I said, I've decided just to lock out that red bug and maybe try and find another day. Let's just take what I can get. But I would like to put the extended catalogue working if I can, because I think that'll make it look a bit slicker. But it does go back and it works in both NextZXOS and in Basic, but you've got to do the clear before you can call it. So again, if I got time, I wouldn't mind getting the page allocate working, and that will mean it only works in NextZXOS then, not in ESX-DOS, although you could still run the command in ESX-DOS with the -i option to just get you into a context of using a micro drive, and then you can use the NMI and code card on to go back. So it's sort of helpful under ESX-DOS even. But once I do the page allocation stuff and using P3DOS, it won't work, because that only works under NextZXOS, obviously. And of course the purpose is to create an NextZXOS file. So there we go then. Hopefully I haven't made too much of a mess of my machine, and my main concern is I don't want to make a mess of anyone else's, which is why if after extensive testing I can't get it to fail, what I probably need is somebody to test on a version 2 interface 1, because mine is dead. As I said, I've got one that's being repaired, but I would need to know that the actual patching works. So there we go. I think we're not far off. It's obviously midnight tonight submission deadline, but it's probably a bit late for me with work tomorrow as well, and the fact I'm shattered. So I'm trying to decide at what point to call it a day and say that's good enough for the submission. Feel free to make comments about what you think I should complete. So I think I'm pretty much in a position where if I had to now, this could be submitted, but the instructions would be you'd have to do a clear before using that microdrive command, and you can't use the top 16K. But at a push, I could actually then do a version that only needs the top 1K, because it's really small code. So I'm thinking I would do, my temptation was first to do that, where it runs right at the top, have an option to compile, to assemble for either, and then I can add the page code in and start moving forward, but I'd have something I could submit. So I'm thinking I might just commit the 0.2 version at this point, but with a slight change to put it at a very high memory location, so you're not wasting too much of the RAM when you're using the mcat command. You just need a little bit of page 0 for use. Again, because this could go very, very pear-shaped by the time I start doing banks and page switches and allocations, and it's quite a lot of work. You know, it's going to be extra code to add it. Yeah, exactly, Ped. I was that was the same boat I found myself in, which is why I took some time out earlier today to check, because I thought, ooh, what happens if it's complicated? Which it was a little bit more complicated than I thought. So I'm glad I checked that as well. And it wasn't any point in trying to create a live stream at any point today, because I was just jumping around back and forth. I had to go and do things as well and cooked it. It would have been too bitty, really, with just putting in a couple of hours and then jumping off, and I don't think it would have been made very interesting watching, really. You probably wouldn't have learned much. Anyone who's watching this on playback wouldn't have got the benefit. So there we go then. That's the state of the upload. So moving in the extended mcat and making it a file up higher is probably as much as I'm going to do in half an hour, maybe, because I can just, if the extended catalog code might actually just drop in, hopefully, although it does call the catalog command at a slightly different position, so we may need to adjust the calculation of which catalog command to use, address calculation just a touch, because I notice it goes in at the stream open, because it relies on the stream being open to do it, although we might be able to work around that by actually doing the stream open ourselves, and then jumping in at the same place. That might be a better way of doing it, knowing that that's why it's trying to go in at an earlier date, and you haven't studied it. So if we look at the code, .jam, the extended catalog. The other thing I've done in my managing my external tools, my build now, I don't bother sending over the main and the extended catalog files, because we know they work. I'm back to just sending over my main one, so I could change it to the document bit, because you've got a document stub variable you can do and stick the bin extension on the end of it. But I'm reasonably happy that I can get that working. So it's quicker to upload as well. Right. The bit that was relevant is this here. I did take a quick look at the code, and I'm not sure why it's doing this little bit, but it resets the variable address pointer, which is already good anyway. Writes the sign-on string, which we don't need. So that code, that is not used anywhere that I can see much. Our channel output, that's why. Okay, so we do need to set that then. space, so it does need to be set and that done, but we don't need that. I'm not going to modify this program. I'm going to paste it into MCAT main. So we'll take that one. There's the setting up the new stream code. That's the bit that reads in the catalog. They do the new vars creation there, which I already do, so we can get rid of that. This is the booting into the shadow ROM, which we've already got done, and then processing the catalog. I've got a routine that outputs DE and decimal, but we'll take theirs as well. Oh yeah, because that's the other thing I did, sorry. I've left, for when it's up online, I've left that in, but then there's all the other routines that were useful, like number to ASCII, converting digits, single digit. They can go, they're not really needed in here, and all of the debugging stuff, which I think a lot of it dates back to Jim adding into the very earliest ones, but they're handy routines to have in. They can be stripped out for the final version. They're just there in case you need them for printing debugs, and you can print hex numbers and registers, and it's quite a good way of doing it from a dot command. When you can't trace, you can just print something on the screen well, so you can see it scroll past for a very verbal, and I've used that once or twice today as well. Just to see what's happening where you print a hex number and things like that. Let me show you an example. If I do a .mcat, just do the capture bigger. If I do an mcat slash, for example, it's drive number out of range, and the FF is just a hex decode of what it actually saw, because obviously slash is just before 0. And if I do a mcat 9, you should always test all the boundaries when you're doing code. Do an MCAT 9, invalid drive number. I don't know how it ended up getting to that, but it's locked at least. Thought that was check for before it tries to do it. Found a bug. That worked earlier. If I do an MCAT 0, oh yeah, that's right. I can't do higher than a 9, can I? .mcat A. So I made a stupid error in my check for the drive validity, did I? What did I do? Compare with 8. Hang on. That can't be right. So if I do an MCAT 4, which is right, because it isn't a microdrive 4. Why is it not giving me an error? Surely that shouldn't that be carry? If there's a carry, so if we compare with 8, if it's 0, it's going to be invalid. Because if it's actually an 8, 1 to 8 is valid. So 8 is allowed. And if I compare it with 8, which basically just takes 8 away, I'm getting really tired if I can't work this out, aren't I? Because you can't see this code. But if I look at the just desktop, I'm looking at this bit of code here. I'm looking at this bit of code here, which basically subtracts the 0 to turn into a real number. If it's a 0, that was an error, because obviously it should never be 0. Hang on a minute. What happens if it's if it was a character less than that, which would be the slash, isn't it? I think we got the error correctly as well, because why did we get an error there? Oh, I've missed this. This is silly. Basic error. I'm getting too tired to write Z80 code, aren't I? Oh. I'll leave that as an exercise for someone to post in the chat what the correct route is out of that. But basically, it should only be allowed to be between 1 and 8. So I got a feeling I need to dump that as a carry as well. And if it's an 8, it's greater than, you would get a carry, because the 9 would be, if you had a 9 in there, you would have no carry. The error drive, that's right. If you've got an 8 in there, you would have no carry. That's why it's doing it, isn't it? Okay, because I inverted the logic and moved it round instead of dropping through. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Thanks, Ped. It's because I changed the order of the code processing and didn't change the... yeah, I only need to take up to... it's because I've already subtracted the number. Stupidly. I should really do that. I'm trying to be clever, and no, actually, if I do the sub, I need to compare with the number 8. Because I've already done the... Yeah, thank you, Ped. It's because I need to end up with a number, because we actually use the text version of it has already been saved. So we need the physical number. Yeah, it should just be the number 8, shouldn't it? Is that right now? I forgot I was subbing it instead of comparing it. See, silly errors. Silly errors. I'm sure that's right now. If I do an MCAT 9, yeah, there we go. Right, arrange dot MCAT 8. No, that's arrange now dot MCAT 3. I've broken it now, have I? No, that does work. So I want to actually compare with 9, not with 8. So I can't do drive 8 otherwise. There we go. Nope, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thanks, Ped. Well spotted. Just slightly... if it hadn't been for the delay, you'd have spotted it before me on the transmission, I think. Right. Okay. This is why I'm trying to use the last time for proper testing, running through everything it should do. So now I should be able to do an MCAT 8 and get a drive not present. Yeah, drive not present, which is correct. Excellent. Okay, yeah, sorry you couldn't see that, could you? But if I go back into it, browser, go into T3, do change that to MCAT 9 and run it. It's out of range, and if I change that to an 8 and I run it, it should lock up correctly. Microdrive not present error, which is correct. So there we go. Excellent. Yeah, I suspect you probably can Ped emulate Z80 code instantly and type 300 cars. I just can't get a subtract right when I get the number. There we go. One of the other 2 errors I found, I think, was I found another hex code that was in as a hash, not as a dollar as well. There was a couple of minor little things that had just slipped through. Just decision to use Z80 ASM was a bit bonkers. Right, so I'm reasonably comfortable that the dispatcher works now to give you a correct drive number. And if you put any other junk in, it'll give an error thinking it's trying to be a drive number, which is fine, so you get the error. So the dispatch is fairly good. I put a couple of places where I got the call to the monitor, just if I can re-enable it to see what's happening at that point. But I obviously commented out. So we think we can probably most of that. But I'll add it back in as save their variables. One the other thing I've done with the mcat main.asm is I moved the drive. Well, I think I showed you this. I moved the data block to the very front and just put a jump relative around it, so that when you're in the debugger, you can dump memory more easily, because you know that is going to be at C0002. And for the same reason, I've put all the various variables here. So it might be an idea to keep both cats in, because you could do an mcat minus E or something for extended, and just an mcat for the normal one, which might be quite a nice idea. So in fact, I quite like that idea. I like it a lot. So much I'm going to do feature creep instantly, I think. Because it means we haven't got to break the other function. We can just have a non-working extended catalogue. So if we save that now, we take the extended catalogue stuff. I am going to do I'm going to use its own code as is, because we know it works pretty much apart from little bits. So I don't need the gens 3m entry. So we can copy that. We'll stick it into mcat main as an entire section. I don't think that'll compile. We don't need the sign-on string, because we already got one in the main dispatcher, which is going to do the string stuff. Let's see how badly broken it is now to build. Oh dear, lots of stuff. And these will be things that were defined at the top end of this, I suspect. Yeah. So we'll just stick those into my mcat main. Stop breaking most of it. Most of them are probably already called. There's a lot of duplication here because we're stitching together several bits of program. But they've got some of the names different to the way I've got them laid out. So just because they use them that way. Okay, so we got a couple of things. Chan's already defined, drive not defined, cat drive type 10 tab, okay. Streams, prog and HD11 already defined, probably in my spexsys. So streams can go, prog can go. Assuming they're the same, better check, hadn't I, just in case they've got a different name for things. Just check it quickly. Spexsys still hasn't. Streams 2.3. Of course, I got it in decimal, so it is the same one, isn't it? 2.3.5.6.8. Mode 3. Oh, clear. Oh, my calculator's playing up now. Oh, the keys have got dirty. I'll just spray it 5C10, yeah, it is the same ones. Ooh, no, they got 5C16. Which is stream 6. That's dangerous. Why have they got a different name for it? So they're calling 5C16 is further on, isn't it? So that's their stream 6. Let's find out where it's used. And that's used by them, but I think they need the stream 6 name that I use, because that is 6. That's 6 on from there. 99% certain they want stream 6. So this is something to be wary of when you're stitching different people's code together. So hopefully now that streams can be because I want to change specsys.asm obviously, because that's all my code is built off of that. Prog is already defined. 5C53 should be the same, but who knows. Where is prog? Prog there, 23635. Don't assume. .5C53, it is the same, so I can disable theirs. And what was the other one? HD11, well, that's going to be the same because that's all you got. So I'll just disable theirs. 5C ED for HD11. 5C ED. Yep, there you go. The reason these are in a mix of decimal and is probably because a lot of these date from the very earliest time I ever typed in anything. Right, well, yeah, have I saved IY? No, actually, but it never gets changed as far as I'm aware, but it's not a bad shout. That's not a bad shout. I use IY a lot. Nothing I've imported from POR will ever use IY, because POR expects IY to be pointing at the variables at all times. So that way it's always preserved in any code I've done from there. But you're right, it might be affected by something maybe in the stuff that's happening. It's possible. Let's find if it's used anywhere in here, for example. Nope. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but it's a good call because, as you know, yeah, I mean, it's basically using it to signal flag changes. So it's actually relying on it completely itself. Now this one changes it, sets it on purpose. I don't know why. I'm wary of letting that happen, but I think that's the value it has anyway. So. .5C3F. Oh, now they're changing to 5C3A. Why are they changing to 5C3A? That is right, isn't it? On my screen, it looks like 5C3F because I've got my monitor screen. I have to set it to. It's a multi-scan monitor, so bits of the characters are cut off. It comes up clearly in the capture, but it doesn't Yeah, it doesn't come up clean on my little monitor because I'm basically running the VGA port or HDMI rates so that I can do the capture. So my screen is a bit crap in this higher resolution. Yeah. So, but oh no, they're setting to 5C3A. Yeah, that's right. So they are setting it. They don't need to because it's already set. So that's redundant. Hello, source code. Welcome. So we're currently trying to stitch in the HiSoft extended catalog code to use instead of the main catalog code. So we shouldn't need to do they save HL with an EXX, but we've already done that ourselves up here. Because we save all three, although it's only HL we need to, I think. But so in theory, we shouldn't need to do that. And we shouldn't need to do it on the way back out either, restore it. Because they must do it somewhere on the way back out, do they? Yeah. We've already created the new vars for them, so they don't need that. That's another copy of their streams offset, which needs to be stream 6. Did I not find all the streams? I thought I changed that before. Well, did I change it in here, did I? Yeah, I did. Oops. I've been changing the original, not ours. So I'm going to abandon that. I have to go back and modify that one because I've changed it slightly. I thought I hadn't saved it, but I have. Oop, I've broken it away. Yeah. We don't care. Let's put my code. Do it now because I'll forget I've broken it. I'll leave their code as was. Only in this one is it changed. That's good. Yeah, so it is that one collided, so streams already defined. So that's there. I needed to undo it, which explains the problem. Okay, so the first code, the first pass does do well. And then in Spectrum as I'm like, Chan's already defined 540, so that was what we were looking at. Was Chan's the same? I'm sure it is. 5C4F. Oh, I haven't defined it already. Ah, that's why. Because they've used the name of a variable I've used in a I don't think that matters. That label's hangover from poor. It's never used. Not in this code anyway, because it's only used 3 times. It's only used twice now where they define it. And where they actually use it. Okay, that's good, that's safe. One more done. So we've still got a bit of it. Line 47, 540. Space. Ah, right, okay, I can't have the space at the top of it. What do they use space for then? Oh, that's just to stick their stuff in. So I think we'll stick the space. That's an out of range jump relative at the start. So we'll put the space they need at the end. Actually, I'm going to be careful here because you end up with zeros on the end of files. Sometimes when you stitch it together, copies won't be right. Or it doesn't write it out, so the bin isn't the right length, and then when we include it, we won't copy the right length of data. That's okay though, doesn't matter, because it's just going to be as long as... Yeah, it might not be big enough. So just to make sure we generate code, I'm going to generate a rep there. I've had that happen to me before, where the length of the code you copy never doesn't get done, and then so that jump relative will be back in range now. So we got a couple of 10 tab, type tab, drive, cat, drive. So drive used twice, C14 inf. Now they were the ones actually that were at the bottom of that file, weren't they, I think. I'll reopen it again. I think they were these things here. So cat is the address of the catalog, which is defined as an address. Drive is a word that is the number of the drive. Now I've already got something that substitutes for that anyway. So I don't care about that one. I will swap that out. Cat we can sort out. Type tab and 10 tab. Type tab, C14 inf, 10 tab. Okay, that's their tables. We just I'll stick that after their space. We don't need their sign on. I'll credit them somewhere else. Did I not save the drive yet? Yeah, so for drive, I've already got a variable up here, which is drive n. So I think we will get rid of their drive, and where it occurs, we will substitute our drive n, because it's already been converted. So that occurs at 570 and 600. So I'm going to use our drive n, and also occurs at 570. Load HL with a con A. Okay, yeah. Alright, so it's moving into the D string one, which is like we do. So this is going to be terribly inefficient code. And then 572 the cat. Load HL with cat. So cat is there. They're taking the contents of the address of catalog as the routine to call, aren't they? So they're calling it in a different way to the way we call it, because we're already in the ROM and we jump to it, but they're not. So we probably need to get the address of the catalogue, which has been correctly calculated, because we poke it into in there into poke C, because we're self-modifying code here, of course, because we set the addresses. Where's poke C? Should have just highlighted and searched, shouldn't I? Right, so that's there. So Pokesy is actually the cat address. Will be there. Now we jump into the catalogue 9 bytes in. I've said this before, 1C5E. So taking the book, taking the Bible, 1C5E. 1C5E, yeah, we did a couple of bytes in. So, which is, they take what is in S-Stream 1 and do an RST10 to call channel open, which is 1601. So we basically just need to do the channel open before we go into the catalogue. So where they use the term cat, we can just use our poke C, because that will be the address to call. But we need to have opened the channel beforehand. So in their code, go to that a minute so we see what we're doing. So in their code where they do the catalog, HT11 enable cat shadow, so that if we can just put the poke C address in there, because we've already calculated it somewhere else, but just because we're going to end up, we need to open the stream first, which actually is helpful, is already in A, because it's been set to STR1, I think. Yeah, SSTR1, so we could just do we could hopefully just call 1601 there, which should hopefully open the channel already. So that's effectively what the first, it's the first byte of it is actually a call out of the shadow ROM back into the main ROM to do that. So we just do it before we go in, and go in slightly later, a couple of bytes later, where the main, our catalog command does. That should then give us the, because basically what they're doing here is they're setting up a channel that streams the data, I think, into their space. And then they process the string that's in there. So I think we should be able to call their routine if we got a particular command. Let's try and make that should assemble now. Yes, it has upping us to 1487 bytes, but it does assemble correctly. Now, before I do anything else, I'm just going to check on the next that it actually does something, because we haven't bust anything. How can I get back out of this? Edit. I've done it. Break to exit. That's what I'm doing. Why is it not breaking? There we go. Ooh. I've lost my monitor sync. guys, just to reset the capture card. So I'm working in bin. My corrupt top card does not seem to affect the ability to work with the browser in NextEdXOS, which is handy. So I'm just going to check that actually still does do a successful catalogue. So we haven't just broken it. There we go. So nonsense in basic, we're back. So it does still work. Good. So now we need to change the code to reflect the ability to call that catalog command instead of our catalog. But like I say, I like the idea of being able to make that another option. So what we'll do is we will do a whatever our instructions for using it are. Oh, they're in mcat.as, and that's why. Okay. Actually, I didn't recompile mcat, which means the new version of mcat main wasn't reattached. So let's just do that and make sure it does get done. Yeah, because that's more likely it's now 2K. So what I need to do now, really, at this level of complexity, which we haven't covered this week, is I would by now have set up a make file that builds the relevant bit and curls over whatever's needed. But I'm just keeping on going simply at the moment because the whole theme of the week was building up from nothing. But by now we should have a more complex build. So my tool will use make to make the relevant bit. And if the file is changed, remake that and then reattach it. So this is still fairly achievable at this level. But if you add like the number of files that you've got in some projects, you really need to use the more powerful tools. So maybe we'll do a follow-up after the jam, turning this into something that's maintainable and optimized as a video rather than a live stream. Just so you don't learn any bad habits. We're coming up to 10 o'clock, so I don't really want to spend too much more time on this. If I can get the extended cat going, I might just reduce it down to only needing 2K of top memory, and that'll be the submission version. Because it is fundamentally working then, just needing the clear command before you run it. So it's just one line command to run clear, an address, and then the catalogue. It's not too bad, but not a bad prerequisite, I think, to run it. We can make it all a lot smoother at a later date. I don't know whether I'm going to get the page in by the submission time. So anyway, coming back to it, at the moment we've only got to compare with I. If it's not that, it end error. So instead of that, I'm going to change that to be, if it is an I, I'm going to jump relative of 0 to init drives or something like that, and we just do that. There we go. So that will do that one. And then if we've got a compare, so we've got a minor, we've got a we'll use an E, as I said, for extended. So if we do a minus E, it will do a jump F0 to extended cat. Okay. Now we need to show, that's going to be a problem. How am I going to tell the main catalog function I want to do something different? We use type 3 for the catalog, so we'll have to use type 4, I think, for this when we... which is not a problem. I can't do extcat here, can I? Blast. Don't do feature creep and design on your feet, because we don't actually set the data. I would have to do, it'll be somewhere when we do the IX and the IY of setting the drive numbers. It has to be done here. So I could do it, actually, yes I can do it. Jump F0 to extended cat. Okay, so extended cat will be here, and we need to I need IX to be set already. Are we preserving IX? No, we were allowed to clobber it in these commands, aren't we? Yeah, somebody tell me we're allowed to clobber IX when we're working. I'm sure we are. I've got loads of code that does that. So initialize it ready so that I've got it available to me when I'm here, so I can set the IX plus, and then because this is the parameter pass, it's in here somewhere. We got to use the type is set to 3. We do it here, don't we? We force the drive type there to 3. So I'm going to undo that and do backup, pick it up from IX plus OD. So this is so we can pass all the parameters. So I need to make sure I put a 3 in IX plus OD before we call us. This could break it really badly. So I need to because we haven't actually copied up the code yet. So we'll need to load acore HL and put into drive. That needs to be done when we can share it there. Be careful. That's the check on whether the drive rate is in range. That'll be common to both catalog commands, so it needs to be run whichever command is coming in, because it's either extended or standard. So cat so that needs to be done there no matter what I do, leaving it. But I need to here, I need to load a comma, we're going to use 4. So basically option 4 will be an extended catalog where the plugin driver supports it, because of course in theory you could swap this mcat main for being something that supports Opus or Discovery or anything. That's the thinking, that this is a pluggable for using old peripherals longer term. So the dispatcher will dispatch this type 4 command. I can fall through to load a comma, oops, a comma, 4 there and 3 there, and jump relative to cat2. Probably could have done that more elegantly, but it'll do. So basically, if we want an extended catalog, we'll set it to 4. If we want a standard catalog, we set it to 3. That's copied into the header, and and the drive number is copied into where it is as well. Actually, we got to be careful because IX in the main thing here is set to HM safe, which I believe is 3 bytes further up. So in this case, our OD should be EF10. So it should actually be hex 16. It's because we're 3 bytes further up. We're indexing off of a slightly different part of it for the parameter pass. Okay. Now, I've probably bust that heavily, but I think in theory, if we just recompile that and run it, it should still do a standard catalog, because all I've changed is added the facility to do the 4 in, but the 3 is now done. So I think that's changed, but we'll recompile it, reassemble it anyway. And mcasm will save it, and we'll reassemble it, and this should still do exactly the same as it did before for 3, because the actual dispatch here doesn't support 4. It doesn't. If it has a 4 in it, something's going to go wrong. I'm trying to remember what it does if it's not got a 3. It's compare with 2. If not 2, then a catalog's required. So basically, whether you set it to 3 or 4, it's just going to do a standard catalog. So we will just have to modify this to do either the standard catalog or our extended catalog here. Okay, so in theory now, even if you select extended, it won't make a bit of difference, and the message is always saying extended anyway. So that's the thinking. Again, small amount of change, trying to do it anyway. Okay. Did I assemble that? I can't remember. Right. Okay. So going back to being able to see the next as well. If I run this, it shouldn't make any whit of difference. Good. But it does give us the option now to do a type 4. I know what we didn't do as well. We didn't... increase the messaging stuff so that we can tell people mk-i drive. Actually, I want to have that as another thing. So it should be -e brackets drive number. You can't put a drive number after an I. It's -i only. So, and this is pretty much version 3 by now. Although technically no one's seen 0.2, but there is a video showing it, so we should make it different. mk-i, mk-e. It also helps occasionally if you made a change like this to prove you're using the right code. So we have the option to do an extended catalogue with the drive number after it. And I need to check that the -e option, if you've got an E, jump if not 0 to end error. Now we are going to have a white space skip here because it's not an E, because the cat assumes that the next thing it hits, there's no white space skip there. But we do need a white space skip now so that we can have a -e and then any amount of spaces in the drive number. Or we could just cheat a minute on the extended cat. And we could just, this is a cheat. I haven't got a white space skip routine in here for some reason, I don't know why, but we're just going to jump 1 character ahead. Don't do it this way, do it all properly with proper code, because really you should allow any amount of white space at this point, and make sure you don't end up with the semicolon on the end of the code. And because I'm only moving 1 on, if it's the carriage return, then it'll get an illegal drive number because it'll see the 13. So don't ever move more than 1 character onwards, because your next character could be the end of the line and you'll be in all sorts of mess. So, but that's fine. I'm just going to move on now, so that when it gets the next character, it's the drive number, and the check-in's then done anyway by this routine, so the fall through is clean. Okay, save it. Do an F5, F7, sorry, build. send it up, and I should be able to do it again now with an mcat minus. Actually, let's do some checking of our mcat minus X maybe. Yeah, now it gives us our correct usage. So, and I will set that to be an mcat. We'd already done the clear. Have I run this once at least? I remember. Mcat minus. Oops. Mcat minus E3. And do a run. Drive number out of range F0. So that means it found the hex number that was left after the calculation was F0, which means it is 16. So what did it see? We had, it saw a 0. Why did it see a 0 when I do an extended cat? Let's just check it completes to do a normal catalog. Yeah, it does. Okay. Made an error in this dispatcher. This is going to be tight for submission, isn't it? So it's loaded David HL. We're actually over the E. So InkHL will go to the space. Oh, that's why, because it's doing the space. So that goes on to the next character. So let's just check it is actually a space. Y, comma, HL, CP. Compare with space. Jump relative if not 0 to end error, which will just give us our end error. So anything there isn't a space will give us the error. We can increment HL and then we're safely, that'll be our number. So there we are, simple error. So if you use C, the Z88DK and all that, they've all got this pre-processed into args for you. And actually there's later dot commands that have got much better handling than this that I've written, that do all the white space and syntax checking and checking for the errors. So I should have based, really, date was the very first one I ever wrote, so it was a bit simplistic. So I should have really stolen a later version of code to base it on. But there we are, hindsight's 2020 vision, as they say. I think that's going to work now. If I try it again with an extended and run. Oop. Nope. Minus E drive F0 still. Oh, did I not assemble it? Thought I did. Maybe I didn't. Nope, still out of range, F0. Have I changed HL anywhere? Nope. Nope. Extended cat. InkHL, compare load A with HL, compare with the space. If it's not, and InkHL, and then it does the load AHL, it should be loading E3 there. Let's stick a breakpoint in. We got the monitor available to us. Let's find out what's actually happening at that point rather than guessing. Oh, hang on, we're getting an error, that's why. End error. It wasn't actually assembling a new version, so I don't need that. I thought it was called end error. End error. There you go. I didn't see the error just above the transmission because it appears in red. There you go. Right. That should work now. There you go. Excellent. All right. And obviously the message is not different for each one. That's the other thing we ought to do, really. I need HL there, and I need IX. I could load DE with a message to be used, couldn't I? So if we here we can exchange DE and HL at that point. I can steal message cat for a standard catalog. Message cat for a standard catalog going into DE, and we will take a copy of DE and we will load it with ext and msg ecat. There we go. So basically I'm going to create an extended catalog statement, and so we got two different messages. Loading 4 jumps to cat2 to exthl print message. That's fine. There we go. So extended message 1 blast. I rely on the drive. That's fine, because we easily do that. We make message cat there, and then we have a Control C there. We put a DFM extended space there, and then we do that there, and we do MSG ecat there. So basically, if they ask for extended, they get the word extended in front of the cat on microdrive, and falls through, and drive is stored here as a number, so you see it. Okay, so we should see now it will do something different depending on whether you've got the -E or not. Make sure we didn't get an error. Nope. Got to remember to scroll. I'll leave that big enough that you can see the error even if it finishes annoyingly, and make you close it. Right. I think that should work now. Yeah, well, extended message does. Okay, and if I take the extension out, do a run, there we go, job done. Okay, I know it's just a tweak, but it's quite a handy extra, I think. And in MCAT main now, basically, if the number was greater than 2, then a catalog is required. So here, we now need to decide what to do. We either, this just jumps straight into the cat, because we're already in the shadow ROM, which is an interesting problem. We got to remember that our context is already in the shadow ROM, and they're not. They wouldn't want to be. They want to run it from within, not having the shadow ROM switched in. So how difficult is it to modify their code to? But of course they use large parts of the ROM when they do it, mainly. So they really expect to be running it with the primary ROM available, don't they? Because they're doing quite a bit with make space. Chans, we've already done the vars for them. This is the return value to basic is 0, isn't it? Cat end, cat back. No, I think it's best to change the let them have the context back being paging out the ROM. So if we find ours again now. So if someone wants to dispatch an extended one, the main problem is all our error handling won't work, because our error handling assumes that that we're always running within the shadow context. So all the stuff we've set up for handling the error will fail, because all the error control system here assumes that the new errors, because it's actually looking, this is searching in the ROM and then paging out at the end of it. So we really, for their extended catalog, we really need to be converting it to call back, to use the, oh no, I've taken on more than I can chew, can't I, for midnight? Bugger. But then again, the only difference that theirs does do there's no reason I couldn't always set up that channel, is there? So I'm wondering whether we need to integrate it much more into our code. At the moment, the system is in a state where it's submittable, purely because the -e works only on the dispatcher, and the actual receiver code doesn't ever try to do the extended catalog. The code's in there, but will never work. So I'm very tempted to create a releasable version at this point, because we know it works. It's just the extended cat does nothing more than a normal cat. If anyone's watching, I think that is probably the safest thing to do at this moment in time. Yeah, I think so. So I'm going to create I'm going to match the version in to this, version 1 of this. I know we've made some fiddles with it, but that's this, the other one isn't marked. The version is out already. And this is version 0.3. So I'm going to freeze it at this point, I think. We're going to correct the error at the top. It doesn't need to be recompiled for, right, yes. No, I'm going to take a copy of what I've done so far. This isn't in Git, so I'm just going to do this here. I'm going to take a copy of what I got now. I'll save extcat just because it's the version we've got here. There's the mcat command that we've got. That's an old one, I think. How does it do it? Can't remember. Did I make it make the cat command? No, it only does it when it copies it to the other end. So mcat.bin is the final cat. So I've got to be careful there, because that mcat is an old one. So we get rid of that. So we need to save extcat.asm, mcat.asm, mcat.bin, and mcat.main.asm and mcat.main.bin. They are enough to be able to build the command, and it is working. I believe that if I rename that to mcat, I believe that is a releasable version of the code that would run, that someone else could try, and it would operate and do what it says on the tin, as long as you do the clear for, as long as you do a clear for, at least a clear 49151 before it. and hasn't got any breakpoints in it, I don't think. Well, let me just check, because that would cause a terrible mess. Breakpoint to monitor, there's only one of them in that code. Break P, breakpoint to monitor is commented out, only one of them in that code. So there's no breakpoints in the code, so it won't accidentally trip, and it just dies and freezes on an error. So it is release 0 though. This is like ultra alpha code. But it's 10:30 and I'm not sure I'm going to have time to do much more tonight now. I'll have a go for another half hour, and I think I'll try and get the extended cat running just for a laugh. But I've now got one that I could push up. Okay. I had pizza and chips for tea. This is how bad the day's been. It's classic programmer. I haven't eaten properly during the day. Anything I could rush through quick. I did have a really nice salad I was going to make, and steak and more wine. And I thought, I better not chance it. And I had to go doing some lifts for people anyway, so I couldn't have a glass of wine. So I thought, let's just do typical programmer food. So the other half of the pizza's now in the silver foil, ready for work tomorrow. Excellent. Have I missed anything in order to be able to submit this code? Because the other thing I'd like to do is see what else is being submitted as well. Because I did have a little check earlier, and I hadn't seen anything else coming in, but there must be others. Keeping that, and I haven't had a chance to play those games from either the children did, so I'll have to do that one night in a week, I think. In fact, I haven't played a game once today. It's just been fiddling. I mean, I've cleaned up all the code as well. You notice it's all a lot tidier, and I've got rid of stuff and, you know, indented properly, and as best I can, I've made the code a bit more readable. Thanks, T. Yeah. Yeah, lunchtime working. It's a bit difficult in work because you can't test it. But I suppose I could take my laptop and a dev environment and a little Next and leave it there permanently, couldn't I? I don't seem to get time in lunch, so I might have an hour or two tomorrow night. So we'll see how it goes. I got most evenings this week are taken up with jobs. So, yeah, that's right. Because Ped, if it doesn't show submissions midway, you don't know of people how many's going to do. A tiny dot tool, also posted on Discord. What did you post then? There's the itch.io. So if we go to the jams, join jam, .jam, submissions due 1 hour 1:21. Ooh, that's not a lot, is it? Community. It's long for all the chat. So does it show you can't see the submitted one? Only is it only the owner can see the submissions? For those who haven't seen AA's submission, he's done this is quite interesting. Again, distracted here, but it's about some of the features in the next board which he's been playing with in C, which allows him to get this, which shows you you can read out the temperature and the voltages on the release 2 board. So that'll be the only extra that's on there. So all the code's compatible, but because it's got a couple of extra features, so it's quite interesting, worth reading. So yeah, it doesn't seem to be any. So you can't see any submissions then. Okay, I'll have to have a look on Discord for it afterwards. I won't go looking at other people's until tomorrow. What's the 1 mean? Okay. Oh, thank you. D, you followed me. Thank you. Not a lot of people. Right. Probably shouldn't be showing half of that. Right. Let me go back to what we were doing. I should be interested to see what the submitted dots look like tomorrow anyway. I'm wondering whether how I can do this to be in the correct. Because all our error handling, that's the problem. I don't want to lose our error handling because it gets us full control, and it's quite complicated, and it does all this searching back down the stack. This is quite clever. What this does is it basically, that space we created, it searches all the way down the stack for the original calling address in the ROM that was used to generate the structural error, and then it looks at the byte that's why the ROM's got to stay visible, because it looks at the byte that was after that RST error call, and that is the actual original error number, which you normally couldn't retrieve, and that's how we've got all the error messages addresses. The ROM is still visible. We can print the actual error messages without having to go through the ROM and then come back to us, not ending up in BASIC, which allows us to then get our context back to the dot command without ending up going into BASIC still. So it's quite important we keep this microdrive error handling available. So I think the only option is going to be to convert their code to run with the ROM in context, calling back out to the main ROM. Yeah, that's why I was thinking about the live streaming ped. That's why I've done it like with the live stream stuff as well. And I know a few people have had a yap, haven't they, about what they're doing and that. So it's a bit more public. You can't get much more public than doing it live, developing it half live. So I'm sure we can come up with a way of doing it in the future that we got it that way. I'm sure, because I don't think I'd do it every day, hour stream. But I quite enjoyed it. And I have to say to the 20 or 30 people who've reached it to the end of the week, I mean, we started with 109, started watching the streams, I think. So those 20 odd, 25, 30 who are catching up on every session. Thanks very much for following along, and hopefully you've gained something from it. If nothing else, I proved how dippy I am for developing code sometimes. But it's through making mistakes that you learn, really, I think. So anyway, it's 11:15. Shall I just bash on with this code? I got another 15 minutes, and then I'm going to submit my dot as it was, because it'd be really cool to have extended, wouldn't it? So all I got to do is convert this now to be able to run in the context of the shadow ROM. So I have to think the other way round now. So here, where it calls make S in the main ROM, I need to convert that to call in code in the primary ROM, which, have we got an example of it here? I think it's this one, isn't it? No, that's still a robotic code. When you're in the context of, it's RST10, is it? Hank watching, he'd probably tell me quicker. I'm sure there's call the main ROM routine. It's RST10, yeah, call bass. Main ROM to be shadow ROM, we call by RST10 followed by the address of the main ROM. Okay. So it's followed by, so it's a DEFB after it then. So here where we want to call make S, here we need to convert that to DEFW. And we need to do an RST 10 hex. So that should in theory do the same thing but from the shadow context. Morning Jonathan from Australia. Welcome. You've come in at the last tense moments. If I don't know, you're probably just catching the stream as it is, but the tense moment is this. We've got we have saved off a version of the mcat command, but if I go to my talking head one, you will see that we can do a run on this. Just to remind everyone, there is a possibility we haven't broken it. And basically ignoring the red stuff because it's all commented out. So as long as we do a clear, I'm putting a debugger in just in case, but there isn't at the moment. So it's basically mcat3, and that will catalog drive 3, and it goes off and it catalogs microdrive 3. It doesn't say extended catalog at the moment because we've added in the ability to do a standard cat, and we're just trying to get the extended catalog function stitched in. And for those who've only joined the stream recently as well, that terrible 01234567889 came from, and with a single file called that. I'm leaving it there because I want to see it with the extended cat to see if I'm right about what I think happened. But for those of you who remember the way the data stuff runs, basically our safe buffer contains 0 to 9. So of course, at some point, our safe buffer was used to format my cartridge with that name when it went wild at one point and decided to do a format instead of a catalog, but gave me the idea we can write a format dispatcher as well. And the other one it did was create a file of some kind called 01234567889, and I actually want to see how big that file is. I suspect it's a 0 block file, but it did do a save by accident, so we accidentally dispatched the save as well, which of course is the other functions we want to write other dispatches for. So we can, I'm thinking even maybe mcat should be retired and we should just have an mutil or an mu or something which can do copies, cats, formats, whatever, because you could use the same dispatcher to do all sorts, but it'll do for the .jam. So that's where we were. The only compromise we got is for some reason if it has an error, a real error, like a microdrive not present, like this, I've taken the driver out of the drive, the microdrive not present. If you've got the debugger in memory, you will get a breakpoint there, and then I can trace through. And if we've got time, I'll show you that, and it'll work fine. But if you haven't, basically this is where it starts doing formats and all sorts of stuff. So I'm thinking it might be to do with where interrupts are enabled, not enabled. There's a bit of an imbalance there. So at the moment, I'm just sat in a permanent loop, which NMI's disabled everything. So I might be able to improve things afterwards. But for the moment, after an error, I do get control. It's correctly searched the microdrive ROM for the error message and printed the right message. So we've got the microdrive ROM present. And I think I just haven't had time to find out why, so I've just put it into a permanent loop. So the machine is safely halted. But that is basically, as far as I'm concerned, a submissible command for the jam. And so that's what we're doing. But I'd like to just improve it just a little bit to get the extended one doing, which is where we were working on it. So, right. Breakpoint done. This is getting tense now, isn't it? I've got to keep an eye on the clock. So we've converted that command. This is doing the channel stuff. This is copying into main memory, patching up their funny use of it. Don't know why they save HL, but we've already done it elsewhere in the outer wrapper, so I'm not worried, because the new vars creation maybe that damages it, don't know. So load a string, whatever. This is where they open the channel 14 to divert the catalog into their workspace. So this is going to become an RST $10 again, and it's going to be a DEF define a word of 1601 to call the context of the main ROM to open the stream, and then they're going to do an enable interrupt RST8 DFB shadow. What do they call shadow then? Shadow 32 hex. That is select the context of the to jump into the main ROM, isn't it? Which we've already done. We're already in the ROM, so we shouldn't need to do the We shouldn't need to go into the ROM. We haven't done a disable interrupts either, have we, anywhere? So I don't know why we need to enable them there. Don't think it's a good idea to enable them unless we need to. Yeah, they're jumping. Why are they doing this in the shadow context? And then enabling interrupt again here. I'm not quite seeing what they're doing here. I was just going through it logically. Yeah, so they open the channel, ready to do it. Make that the channel destination. So where do they actually call the catalog? Oh, here. Load HL with poke C. Oh, right, okay. Sorry, they're calling the catalog command in the shadow ROM. Okay, that is actually running the catalog. Because it is 32 is to dispatch to an address in a catalog, isn't it? Not, is it? Is that the undocumented one? Where's the hook codes? Oh, crumbs. I wish I could remember all these. I probably would have years ago. Hook codes. 32. This routine is different from the other hook codes. It can be used to call any routine in a shadow ROM. The routine whose address is held in a system variable HD11 is called and the main ROM page back in. Another use for this page in the ROM, page in the shadow ROM. If you do that, you've got to pop off the HL addresses then. Okay, which is what we do. So, so when we do the catalog from within the context of our cat up here, I don't think we do much at all. Yeah, we just call that catalog routine and then page the ROM out. So I think we can probably just I'm wondering whether we actually poke C rather than doing it that way. We poke both calls to it, poke C and poke C2. So in our initialization for here, so here where they're picking up our address, I am going to call that poke C2 so it gets poked as well with the real address. We don't need to set into HD11 anymore. We don't need to do the EI or the RST in the shadow. So I think that's okay. I'm 99% certain that'll work, because that'll just do the catalog. Wait into the shadow ROM, yeah, okay. Just need to initialize that and make sure I fix it up. That's above it, isn't it? Yeah, where we do that. I'm just going to patch that one as well temporarily. Okay. So hopefully that is now. That will call the catalogue. It will be done. Now they are assuming that they've come out of the shadow routine at that point, aren't they? So we need to assume the same thing. So we need to do the call $700, which is the exit out, I think. Same as we do. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why is can I ever find a catalog command? It's right at the end, isn't it? There it is. So it basically comes out. Now the catalog's finished, so we just do the. This is something we're probably going to have to do at the end of their code as well. So let's get that ready to do. Did I put it? I copy it. Let's copy that code and stick it in the end of theirs, because that's how they exit rather than with the ret. So rather than that, I think we need to do that at theirs rather than the ret. Just so once they finish that, right, I think, unless someone can spot duds in my thinking, that code should in theory work and give us an extended catalogue, assuming I bother checking for it. So what I'll do, we'll add a little bit of a check for it in our catalogue. Okay. So the dr cat, we come here if it's anything greater than, if it's not a 2, it's us. So we just need to decide whether to carry on through to this one or do an extended cat. So we can do a $04 and jump if it is to ext cat, which I probably didn't put an underscore in when I typed in the name of it. No, I didn't type a name into it, so we're going to call ext underscore cat. And we're going to save it. And we control F7, see what happens. Integer -59. Okay, we've got an out of range jump relative. Probably the stuff I stitched in, is it? Hey? Oh, 693, silly boy. 693 jump relative, no error. Yeah, we just have to jump to that. Okay, so it builds successfully and becomes 1501 bytes. Obviously, the sequence is I've got to rebuild the dispatcher because I need the new copy of it ink binned in. And we're now up to 2042. Ooh, we got 6 more bytes if we want to stay at 2K. Right. That's quite a nice one, actually, because that's how much top memory we can have. I like nice round numbers. Right, so we could change the requirement for the submission to have the high memory only being cleared a little bit low, which only steals 2K of normal memory, which makes it a bit more useful. Okay, ready, done. I think. Shall we try it? Let's go to the machine and see what happens then, shall we? Hopefully that screen's not coming off the bottom. So in the browser, we do a T3, and we've got MCAT3, which is a standard catalog. Let's make sure we haven't broken that. No, we haven't. That still works. Okay, that's good, and it goes back to basic. Let's go for broke, shall we? Do an MCAT minus E. Let's see what happens to that. This will be funny. First run of code. Ooh, does an extended cat. But as it actually done, it's doing a catalog. I can hear the drive spinning. And it just did a normal catalog. So was that our dispatcher not getting the right number, maybe? That's... Okay, let's take another look at our thinking on that. Load A, 4, JR cat 2. That's the actual cat dispatch. That should go into IX plus $10. Now we know the dispatcher sees the right value, but are we putting this into the right location? So I think this might be time to have a little breakpoint, just because I really want to make sure that the data that's being copied up to that we're going to run is correct. So we're going to breakpoint out to the monitor on this catalog command here. And I'm going to build it, and we're going to run it again, and it should now go into the monitor, which it can, and then we can look at the memory at MCAT mains memory, which is, if you remember, has got all our data at the top of it. So we can look at MC000, and there's our jump forward, I think, to jump relative 1C, is that right? 33, yeah, there's the 3, so that's the character 3 and the 3. So we can see the... Now you want to be able to see both, don't you, really? Is that one all right? Can you see the screen big enough on there? So basically we can see the 3, there is that one. Then we've got the buffer for the header. HM safe, oh that's the 0, the second byte, the 2 byte, because it's a defined word. Then we've got the 3 as the buffer for the header. And then we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we should have the 4 is the dispatch type correctly. And then we got the 2 zeros. So we have got a correct type of 4 sent into us. Okay. So if I look at the registers, we should be okay. So with 2072 is our program counter. So we are in MCAT main.list at 72 hex. So we are here. Hey, that can't be right. No, I put it in here, didn't I? Sorry. It's in here, MCAT as and within. Oh, I got MCAT.list, there we go. Yeah, because we should be 2072. So, correct, yeah. So we're just about getting ready to call our main memory that we moved up there. So I should be able to do because it's a breakpoint at that address, I should just be able to jump, trace from the next byte after. So I'm going to trace from here, which is 2075. So trace from trace from 2075, which is the call up to us. Okay. So we're now going to jump into the main assembly language. So we've come into the jump relative that jumps around all this data. Now, unfortunately, the ROM stuff isn't going to work unless we let it run. So I'm thinking what we need to do is probably put a real breakpoint in at this dispatcher point and just see what's happening. Why did we not end up creating an extended catalog? Is it just jumped to the wrong place? It didn't even run the iSoft extended code. So we need, I need it in the list, unfortunately. I need to spot the bit of code that does the dispatch, and that didn't work. So it's just before the it's here for some reason. So when we do the cat, it just fell through and did a standard catalog. So we probably want to put a breakpoint at C114. So put a breakpoint at C114. And we'll see what's in the A register when we get there. Now to continue on with where the thing was from the breakpoint, I can't remember, because there's a way of just letting it run the code in there. Continue operation after a breakpoint. I think it just continues where the program counter is. Okay, so look at the registers, and the A register contains nothing yet because I haven't restored the breakpoint. So we trace it. So, but it contains 25 for some reason. The A register contains 25. So that's because we've okay, I probably destroyed A. I'm checking it after it's been destroyed, probably. I thought we came here before we did anything, though. Yeah, A contains 0, 1, 2. So maybe we need to look at that earlier in the code, because by the time it comes to drcat, it contains 25, which is, yes, it's definitely greater than 2. C74. Why is it getting as an absolute? So I wonder what is at 5C74 then. So let's look at 5C74. 25. It's getting it correctly. But what is 5C74? That's one of the system variables, isn't it? Isn't that STR1 or whatever it's called? No, that's D8. You remember what 5C74 is? Nope, clear 5C74. Mode 023668. It's a main variable for the Spectrum. I'm going to have to get some water in a minute. Get the Bible out. Hanging in pieces. Oops. In fact, my variables pages are just falling out. 23. What did I say it was? 23668. Is T address. Address the next item in syntax table. Very unlikely to be useful. Also very likely to have been reused for something else. Right. I have no idea what's happening there. That looks like that dispatch has been working by luck rather than judgment up till now. We'd have to go back to the previous version to see that, but I got a horrible feeling we've been ending up with a catalogue by luck, not by passing the correct parameter up. Right, I got to get some more water a moment, so I'll leave you looking at the bit of code that was relevant. So there's definitely that there. That sets all the pointers. Make room. Get the value of T address low. Is it checking something different? Where else is that referenced? I've got to get some water. Only once. So it's using an instead of a symbolic name that we've used somewhere else. It's expecting to find it. I'll be back now. Water. That's better. I thought I was going to start coughing uncontrollably. It obviously all works fine. It's just this, why we think 5C74 contains what we want to do. Maybe we need to do a better check, because we know we've set we know this bit is set here. Sure, we stuck it in here. Maybe we ought to not be clever and use this stuff as the dispatcher. Maybe we ought to be a little bit more absolute about it rather than using that space. Yeah, let's give it an actual place to store it. Do it explicitly instead of doing things that maybe will or maybe won't. I'll set it to 3 by default, and then we can set it to 4 if we want to. I just prefer to be a little bit more explicit. Tidy up this a little bit. Okay. So this is going to be IX plus 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15, 16. So oh, no, it is plus 2 because that's the drive number. Here it is 16. That's actually correct. So I was putting it in the wrong place, that's all. Was I? That is 16 hex. Oh, I was counting in hex. 16 hex I need further up. Sorry. Okay. So the dispatcher now should know. We can check that carefully. We're rerunning this again with our breakpoint in. And it's 20 past 11. Oh, it's going to be tight, this, isn't it? I'd really like the extended catalogue to be in, though. X plus 2. Copy that drive here. Yeah. Okay. So we just need to make this receiver now use the dispatch value rather than the so to determine now which type of cap we want. I'm not going to affect the rest of the code by doing this. So we're just going to load dispatch. If we compare it with 4, it should jump to the extended catalogue. Otherwise, we just carry on. So this broken bit, I'm going to look at that when we want to do the... Oh, well done, David. Oh, wicked. Well done, Mr. David Safi has got his Emook has got his entry in. Well done. So and fix for all screen modes and C-Spect. Wow. All right. I shall look forward to seeing that when it's released after the closing at 12. So it depends when Matt processes them, I suppose. But wow. Oh, that's good. That means there's going to be a couple of things to look at and play with after the jam. So this week's going to have everyone's going to have a bit of fun with things to look at, aren't they? Tomorrow night's going to be interesting. Maybe I'll have to do a live a live transmission tomorrow as well. Everything else, this rate, will be why I failed to dismally get mine submitted. Right, I'm sure that dispatch change will work now. Assuming they do a save, F7 it. Okay, so that's done. mCorasm. Do an F7 and I'll leave the breakpoint in, shall I? There's no breakpoint in here, but it is in the... There's one here. Why did we have that here? Because we were tracing through. We don't need that, do we? I've still got the one in here, haven't I? No, we've done it out. That was the one. We've done it out. So there's no breakpoints now. Let's go for gold. Let's just try it. Okay. We shall load our T3. MCAT3 should still do a standard one. I wouldn't have expected that to have changed. If this is, I'm going to freeze it at this point and we're going to submit. That's promising. I still did a catalogue. This is actually going to do the extended catalogue. No, it still did a normal catalogue. Blast. Oh, no, it has done an extended catalogue. Yay! Yay, of course, it's there's only two things, and as I suspected, it's a 0-byte file at 000. We have success! The extended catalogue function works. Obviously, we still end up with nonsense in BASIC. Don't know why. Maybe only Gary will be able to work out why it does that. It doesn't do it in ESX, crying out loud. In ESX-DOS. What I might do, though, just for this one that we're releasing, is maybe we'll have this as a definition of where it is. I shouldn't have done it this way anyway. We will... main RAM equal that. Clear. This is Zapass now. I'm gonna we need to change the version number because we're going to be maybe as a reminder then I might do there functions need clear. What's 2k down from the top of memory? 2048 below it. That's going to make it too big now, isn't it? Well, we shouldn't be taking 16k. Let's give ourselves I don't know, F. Go down to E will be 1k. Go down to D would be 2k. No, because we're at C at the moment. C, D, E, F. We should be at E would be only be 8k, wouldn't it? So F is 4k, is it? Yeah. So I really am getting tired if I can't do that in my head. 61440 is going to give us 4K, isn't it? It's not too bad. People won't moan as much about needing that much, will they? 4K buffer. I could probably actually do the clear in the micro drive, in the MCAT. Oh, we let people do it explicitly because then they know what's going on. So 61440 we're going to pick. Move that way, it's more obvious. There we go. I'll find the occurrences of that. So we've got to use the word main RAM. Oop. So now if I reassemble that for that address, which correctly goes to F00 and up to F5E0, so we could have got away with having it slightly less. We could put it on the F800 boundary probably, because actually we don't worry about the dot itself. We only need to worry about because it's only the code that how big this code is, and that's only 1505 bytes, so it only needs 2K really. So we could go a little bit higher. Nah, I can't be bothered for this trip. Let's do it. It's 11:30. I haven't got time. Cut when you're winning. Okay, I was thinking of 2073 being bigger than 2048. Right. So that should now still work, even though it's slightly different. It doesn't really matter about the clear because it's still going to be the same place, but we can go higher with the clear. Okay, we just need to check as well that it can do other drives. We're still working, so I can catalog 1 and 2. Just check a quick error. Yeah, that was the only reason I didn't reformat the cartridge. I wanted to actually see the numbers when we got the catalog running. So let's just make sure I can do a 1 as well. Oop. 1. Actually, I could have just typed that. I don't have to do the... Yeah, and that's now doing the V drive. Correctly. And then to program it, so that works fine. And we can do, from the command line, I can also do an MCAT -E on 2. And it should go back straight to the... So it's just a clean-up job we're not doing on the exit now. Excellent. just like I've got a couple of different cartridges in there loaded into the V drive for testing purposes. So, and that's the first time we've seen that run on a bigger cartridge. So I genuinely believe, apart from the nonsense in BASIC error for an initial release, functions need clear 61439. I think that's good enough. What do we reckon, guys? Are we going to submit this? Because I don't know about everyone else. I'm quite tired. I got a stand-up in the morning, which is literally a stand-up, because we can only get a stand-up meeting room. So, and I got to be bright bushy-tailed for that, and I got to get all the way to the office first. And if I leave too late, I go school runs in the way. So I need an early night and get on the road in the morning. So I'm going to have to leave it at that point, which I believe is a workable one. And it's all been saved. And thank you, David. We got 1 vote of support. It's, yeah, good enough. So the next thing to do now is to tidy up for submission, because we've got to get the website sorted and what we got to put in there, and put a little bit of text and warn people who've got to do it. I suppose I ought to test it under... I should really just at least do a test under ESX-DOS, shouldn't I? So I'm going to unplug the HDMI. I'm going to power the machine off. I'm going to reset the machine. I'm going to power it back up again. I'm going to go space to select. Now you can't see this because I can't capture these screens. I'm going to go back into 48K mode, which will boot ESX-DOS. I don't know whether it will survive the ESX-DOS boot now with a capture. Yeah, there we go. And you can see my card there, the question end card. Right, so let's try it. Now is it should still work if we do a .cd bin. Oh, hang on a minute. The rule is it's got to be a dot command. So it's got to be a command called dot, hasn't it? In a directory. Which should work, but I haven't actually tried that under NextZXOS, so we need to try that next. It's not just in the bin directory. It will work in here, not called dot. So I went, can you call it dot in the dot directory? I've never tried that, but we'll do 2 when they're suitable for putting into the bin directory. So we're in here now. I should be able to do a clear from here, and it should only be the 61440 clear 61439 to give us space to work. And from here now I can do an mcat. If I just do an mcat, it should give me an error. Yeah. And I do a .mcat -3. No, minus extended 3. And it should catalog extended 3. There we go. Oh, drive out of range. DD. Ooh. It's crashing under ESX-DOS. The 61439 is the clear. And just keeping on looping, doing catalogs. Bugger. Why did I bother testing it? That's not good, is it? Right, okay. This does not work under... There we go. So it's one way of solving the problem, isn't it? So clear. I did say 61440, didn't I? We were using. So we're going to call this one. We needed mcat.asm, mcat.bin, mcat main.asm. So that's the binary file. There is the actual dot file. That's the assembler for the main thing. That's the other one. That's all we need, I think. I had a third one in there. Release, didn't I? Why did I do it? Tony, yes. Here we go then. Especially Hank with the actual source code conversion. Anyone who's live now gets in the credits. There we go. If you put it in the comments. Anyone who hasn't made it all the way to the end doesn't get anything. Anyone else lied? Anyone else live? No, no one else. That's it. Closing. You got a minute or so. Yes, I got Jonathan. I got Jonathan in. I spotted you, Jonathan. That's where you were first because I could see you. Oh, Ped, is Ped still there? He hadn't said anything, but he's been pretty helpful, hasn't he? Go on in. He was there all the while, and I think D has probably got on in the background. So, and we'll include everyone who stuck it through. And there we go. Well done. So I won't make you redo it. Hi. We're making everybody who's been on this last session, shall we? So it's D, Ped, Ratmals. Go. We got. If you've stayed silent, that's fine. But if you haven't spoken. Ped, Sam, Jonathan, Lynn, Emook. You've been as you're on as Emook, David. We will put you in as your Tony Dang. We could put him in full name then. Oh, it's getting tight now. I haven't got long. Just seeing if you're paying attention. Anyway, I thought you'd be there, D. So we put you all in anyway. So I really appreciate it. Yeah, hovering in the background, D, is it? So some good stuff. Right. Well, this has hopefully been a little bit of fun. Right. You need to provide some main memory with clear. I said. What was it we got? EXT cat. Well, it doesn't really matter. I don't have to give you that. I'll put that on my public forum because that's HiSoft's code anyway. mcat main.bin. That's why I put the actual binary out as well. So because we need it to be for the assembler to work. So it's handy to make the 4 of them, the files. So the I'm going to rename mcat.bin to the mcat ... which means I should be able to put in any directory on my my NextEdXOS. Looming, but you tower over me. Thanks, D. mcat as a mcat main.bin. The only reason I like being told is no one can see the bold top bit. So I told you this is going to be to the wire, didn't I? There's the matchsticks. So mcat ... So that's the main one, isn't it? See, this is another, for anyone who's stuck it all the way to the end or is watching on playback, this is another classic programming technique. Do all your documentation right at the end when you haven't got enough time to do it properly, and there'll be loads of errors in it, and actually that'll be worse than the bugs that's in the program. So anyone who's learning to program, allocate loads of time. No, Jonathan, I'm not going to include those in the package, because if you want to generate those, you can by just doing the Z80ASM build. The build is dead simple. What I might do though is I might include the build line, good call, at the top, just in case there was anything that's there we go. Yeah, the documentation stuff. So in proper planning, leave months for documentation. Document as you go along. In fact, use the tools that allow it to be extracted from the source code. You know, lots of clever stuff that you can actually put it in your notes and have it all automatically extracted, like we all do in our real job. Promise. Right. Z80ASM, name.asm, assemble mcat main.asm to create the bin before doing. This is as much for me. Right. Something or other, isn't it? Yes, good one. Thank you, Jason. You only said that so you get a name in the credits, don't I? Okay, that's cool. Yeah, but if anyone's actually going to use this, and I can remember next weekend what I did, a lower 6, so I can't remember the address we used. What address we use? 61440. Right, hang on. Works. Fully only under NextEdXOS. The -I option allows use under ESX DOS as it leaves you using the as needed warning. Other function can erase your cartridges and SD cards, so don't do them. Okay. We need to recheck that it actually works under ESX DOS, and I haven't broken it. Because just quickly to prove that mode, because I didn't notice whether it said it had extras or not. D3. No, it definitely doesn't say you're out of range, does it? Okay. Hang on. I think we're ready to submit, aren't we? Yeah, the nonsense in BASIC needs to be done. And if I do a .mcat1, it does work. It doesn't give an error out of range or an error for some reason. So I don't know why it did that in ESX DOS. Something weird. And it is, which version of it was it? Version 0.4. There we go. I think that's pretty good. So we got 2 issues we know of. Oh, I know the third one is there we go. IF1. There we go. 8 minutes. I think we're going to have to go with that. How long is it going to take me to upload all this? There we go then. Right, let's try and submit. I haven't tried it as a named a dot command, have I? Need to do that. So if I copy it, if I can find it, LMNOPQ cat. Let's remove that. Nope, copy that. And paste it in here as dot dot. Of course, if I do that, I can't actually run it because you can't provide any parameters, can you? So it does run, just does nothing. So there we go, but it does work. All right. So there we go then. 7 minutes. Terms joined. No, I gotta put it on my dashboard first, haven't I? I'll put it on my thing. Help! How do I get to where to upload it? Where's my projects? There we go. Draft. So public. Blah 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 blah. Upload files. Okay, thanks, D. Parameters using a relative path on the command line. Okay, I'll play with that afterwards. I just wanted to check it. So release 1. So can I put all 3 files on? Yep. Documentation or instructions, executable, source code. I don't know. I've got a mod. I don't know what it is. Source code. Okay. Yeah, quick refactor. Good point, David. We got 5 minutes. We could change the code around a bit, couldn't we? See, read me. There we go then. Save. Okay, so that's now public. How do I submit that to the .jam? So people should be able to see that now by following that link, I hope. So I don't know whether other people can see it. Jam's joined. .jam. This is fun, isn't it? We're going to make it. Submit your project. MCAT. The name of the team producing the result. Oh! Whew! Yay! Oh, crying out loud. 4 minutes to spare, guys. I didn't plan that, I promise. Yeah, you can hear my clock ticking, can't you, in the silence? Oh, well done, T. Oh, see all submissions. Submissions we were very rough. Oh, we got to wait 3 minutes and see the submissions, haven't we? Go on. Should we all wait 3 minutes and see the submissions? Oh. This is what live television's all about. Thank you, Jason. Oh. I haven't had so much fun in absolute years. That really... it's a little bit too much like the crunch that you used to get. I mean, I remember in Spain we had a test, and yeah, we had a test one day, and the test had come in. It was like coming at midnight, and we had to get the code out the next day, and it found an error in the state machine, and we had to rebuild it and remaster all of it, and it was just an all-nighter. And then the courier came Monday morning to collect it, and we all went home absolutely shattered. And you don't want to have to do that too often when it's your job and your money, your job, your relies on it. And I think that's, sort of, you hear the stories of the crunches in the industry all the time, and putting this on ourselves, nothing was harmed if I didn't do this. It was being done for fun, which is why I was happy to just do what I could. But I really want to finish that code and make it more useful, like the file copy in and out and stuff, and work out why it's not returning back to basic. I think there's a bit of fun to be done there. So I'm not bad for my first submission to a jam, I think. So I'm glad someone warned me it takes a bit of time to upload it all and do it. I didn't want to push it any further than that. So here we go. There you go. Oh, do we not get to see them? Does it release? Does anyone know? Oh no, do we have to... Oh, T minus, we have a countdown. If mine's not in there, I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry now. You're probably a few seconds behind me, aren't you? So you could be looking at it yourself and know what's happening. Relative time not. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it's closed. Submissions due in. Oh, that's a bit disappointing. How'd you get to see what people have submitted? Oh, there we go. Hey! The submissions, what have we got? Oh, there we go. We got the MCAT and microdrive cat for NEXT.jam. Marco's Retrobits. Simple breakout game for the Spectrum Next and Informa.com. Oh, that sounds fun. Term Zero. Matt Steele. Raw Terminal Accelerator. Oh, .jam and eMOOC. This sounds interesting. Is this a demo? So, and Adam Ainsworth. A special next tribute to the great June Brown. That sounds interesting. Cotton. Wow. Oh, clever. Of course, yes. Cotton. And .7G FX set. Collection of FX effects. Tools for 8-bit computer. So, oh, cool. What are these then, Ped? Fade out effect for ZX Spectrum Next. Sounds interesting. We're going to have to get all these, aren't we? Let's try this one. Let's try this one. Download one. Oh, I was going to do this tomorrow night, but let's try two. Go on, we'll just try one or two. So, here's my downloads. .jam.fx.zip. Extract here. Okay, I've just extracted them, that's all. So if we do so we need to copy those files into my machine. Oh, I can't. I can only see my bin directory, unfortunately, because I've mucked it up. So I'm abusing the file system on the Next. Okay. So hopefully now we should be able to go back to the Next as well. And we should be able to find the dot directory, no, the bin directory. Whatever that is. Oh, I think it's on the other drive, isn't it? Is this my... Must be D drive, yeah. So I need to be on the C drive. There we go. And oop. Needs to be in the bin directory. I should find a .jam directory. So in theory I can just click this and run it then. So let's try this one. Cool. Well done, David. Sounds a bit off, is it? Is that because my machine is running at a different frequency, maybe, for my capture? Yeah. Yeah, it's HDMI timing. What I can do for you, though, just so that you press keys Q, W, Q, W, O, P, it changes the pattern. Brilliant. It looks really good. Yeah, great. Well done. I'm impressed. Right. So we need to look at the other one as well, don't we? For see what Ped's one did. So I assume I got to just reset out of this, have I? I could have a go at changing the HDMI timing if you want, and see if that improves it afterwards. So what's this read me to? Right, now I can't see that because I can't read it on my monitor. .7 GFX should become set of FX effects for dot files. Plans to produce only one fade out effect for Matt's .jam and later based on feedback. Fades out selected palette until all is black in 7 steps. Speed of the fade can be adjusted by something option. Default delay is 6 frames per step. So faded palette is being upload scanline 224. 40 scan lines to apply. Oop. Did we not get the next page of... There you go. Changes. There should be plenty of CPU time after the dot command is finished. The selected palette is set completely. So, palette and delay. Examples. Fade second ULA palette in 21 frames. So, this needs a bit of understanding how to do it, doesn't it? 7G FX underscore F0. I think I might have to do this tomorrow. V1 3. What's the pound sign for? Don't know. Nope, I'm going to stop now. I'm going to have to, I think, because I really need to work out to call that from the thing. So I think maybe what we do is we do a little bit of an online session to play with them tomorrow night, because it's gone midnight now. But that looks brilliant. Hiya, Jim. I think though I got to admit defeat on the eyeball bleary, so I'm good for work tomorrow. So hope you've all enjoyed the live stream of me doing it and the go live for the actual .jam and the release. So I think there's going to be some stuff there to download as well. This one looks interesting. Come on, I'm going to download them all, I think, as well now. They're in zips and things. So, but I'm going to play with them tomorrow night, I think. And but that looks good as well. Simple breakout done in Turbo Pascal. Nice. Term 0 looks interesting. Ooh, a couple of them. Oh, simple terminal, handy. Yeah, okay. Right then, guys, I'm going to say good night. I like the .cotton one. That's got to be easy to run, is it? Go on, just for the laugh. Can I put that easily somehow onto the next? I don't think you're allowed to do that. Jim, save your dot for the next if you didn't finish it this time. Although if you haven't told anyone what it is, no one would know anyway, would they? So, cotton. I gotta try. So, we need to work out a fade. I assume it has to be renamed as dot to run it from the browser. Ah, there we go. It works. That's great. Does it return to the operating system? Nope, doesn't look like it. Doesn't matter though. Don't have to. Oh, brilliant. There we go. So, how do I do that dot with a fade? Would it by default do something? Yeah, it just shows you how to use it. So Dee said you can put these by putting a relative path on it or something. Okay, so I'd have to go the command line then, would I? So if I do dot / 7G FX underscore FO dot, just so I've run the ones I've downloaded. I'll put the others on for another session. Space. Good night, Jonathan. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Thanks for joining us. I'll have a good day for you, isn't it, I think, over there? I'm going to finish on this one as well. It was this one, no, that one, wasn't it? So, I can't remember how to use it now. I did do the README. The README was actually on the next, wasn't it? That's why. I put it. README, that was it. There we go. So let's do one of the selected ones. U13 then. So U13. Nope. Dot / 7GFX underscore F. I assume there's nothing on the screen. It's not going to show much, is it, really? The only one / is it? The example gives 2, which is why strange because it's going back up the chain, in it. Only one should be there. Is that a typing error, is it? Use U1. Yeah, I am in the correct folder, but apparently you can't run the dot command because you can't. It's not a dot command because it's got a dot on it. So you need to basically say the current directory, that 7gfx underscore f0 7gfx underscore fade out dot and then do. So U1 is second ULA, which is not used. So it would be visible. Oh, I see what you mean. So you need to have a screen loaded already, do you? Yeah. Ah, right, okay. So you do need both dots then. Okay. I've never done this before. This is new to me. So, is there a command line that will actually show something with a normal palette? No, I don't think so. I can see your pad. I just can't see how to do. Am I missing something? U0, current U0. Okay, so that should just fade all the text out. Here we go. Yay! It works. Excellent. Thank you, Ped. Here we go then. Right. I literally gonna have a look at the rest another night. I think I've. This is too much fun, isn't it? what was the other one? The breakout, wasn't it? What was the other ones we had? Submissions, well, we haven't looked at. Oh, we've done them all. We've done ours, we've done that one, we've done cotton. It's only that one, isn't it? Marco's Retro Bits one. So we got to be. Have I got that downloaded? We should just be able to copy it in and try it. It's a zip file with a subdirectory with lots of stuff in it. Ooh, this is quite complicated. Right. So you can't see it on the screen, but EV, create a folder. You can't see what I'm doing, sorry. Right, okay. So there's a directory in the zip file which looks like this. So is this everything needed to build it, is it? So there's actually no dot command in here. Right, so not sure how to just run that as a dot. Good night, Jim. Think we need to do a bit of investigation to run that one. So, but we have looked at all of them apart from the terminal, which I haven't done because I needed to study that. That should be fairly easy though, shouldn't it? Term 0 dot dot, and term 0. So I assume term 0 is all I need. And I can go term 0, copy that, and put it into, nope. Where's the doc thing gone? Stop opening that one. DotJam there. Nope, wrong one. That one. On the bin directory, yeah. So term 0 should be on my machine now. So I should just be able to do a dot / term 0 dot dot. No such command. Didn't I paste it in? Dot dot / term 0 dot dot. There we go. Ha, it works. Excellent. And I should be able to do an ls then, right? There we go. Ta-da! Right. On that note, I am definitely going to bed now. I've tried to run every one of them. I just need to work out how the other one works, but that's too much reading for my thick brain tonight. Right then, guys, I'm off. See you all on the morrow, and have a great week exploring the submitted dots. Bye. Good night, all. Stop streaming. Break to quit. Okay. There we go. L break into program, and we are back in my directory. Lovely. There we go then. That's right. I think we